Hello YouTube, this is Streamline with DVS Gaming, where today we're going to go over specialization skills. So we're going to hit the K button or click on the little character status dude in the top right corner of the mini-map to find your specialization skills. Once the tree comes up, it'll show your skills tree and give you space, ground, and specialization. And we're going to look at the specialization. As you can see, there are 6 of them that you can choose from, and you want to base this off of what you're trying to do with your character. Let's click on Command Officer, and you can see that you can have an active specialization and a secondary specialization. Some of them are for space and ground. As you can see, Intelligence Officer and Command Officer both have ground and space skills in them. Pilot is strictly space skills. Temporal Operative has both space and ground. Commando is strictly ground, and Strategist is strictly space. So what you want to look at when deciding on your specialization is what are you doing with your ship and what are you trying to do on the ground. So looking at the first ability on the Command Officer for the space skills, you can see that this one gives you a chance to, or 1% chance to expose target to torpedo exploits, and get torpedo exploits gain plus 50 armor penetration. So that would be really good for somebody that's trying to run a torpedo boat. Forward march, increase sprint speed, so that gets you to your targets on the ground a lot faster. 2% exposed chance to team. That'll help your landing party hit the target a lot easier. 2-second duration for exposed effects means that the target stays exposed 2 seconds longer and gives you that much more time to do more damage. Incoming flanking damage reduced by 7.5%. Sometimes your party will end up surrounded by the bad guys, so you'll end up getting flanked. This will reduce the damage you take from that. True aim, plus 20% exploit damage to team. So that means your team does an extra 20% damage when the target is exploited. This one, Command Officer, is good for damage in both space and ground. The space is more for torpedo boats. As you can see, that whole first tier is all about torpedo exploits. When you go down to tier 2, and this happens for some of the other specializations, you'll have stuff that affects both space and ground. So you just have to read what each one does to determine which one you want to put the points into. Good thing about this is even after you hit the max level, you still gain specialization points, so you could potentially unlock every single skill in every specialization tree. The points do not stop rolling in. So Command Officer is good for torpedo boats. Intelligence Officer is good for survivability. All 5 of the space skills on the right here deal with your shields, and when you lose your shields while the enemy's hitting you, these increase your damage resistances. As you can see on the ground, it's another damage reduction. It holds. So if you're a science officer or an officer going into holds and crowd control type abilities, these would be the way to go. When you get to tier 2, it's all space skill. When you get to tier 3, it's space and ground. So some of them give you extra damage depending on the scenario that you're in. Some of them add and increase your damage resistance. Pilot, these increase your flight speeds, increase your defense, allow you to increase your damage depending on how many enemies are around you, the immunities, increases damage resistances, increase defense ratings, and lowers how much damage your shields take. This is a good one if you're trying to keep enemies in front of you at all times because of certain abilities that you have. Temporal Operative in space increases damage that you do, adds dots to your targets. In the ground, it also increases damage and dots. Some of the space and ground given in tier 2 increase your recharge speed, which increases your fire rate and adds to your DPS. So as you can see, there's no right or wrong way to choose these specializations, just like everything else in this game. You just have to try each one out to see which one works best for you and fulfills your character's needs in the game. So Commando is all ground, so if you're just worried about your ground stuff because you went and took, let's say, the pilot one, which is mainly all space. So if you want to take Commando, which is all ground, because you specialized in pilot, which is all space, if that's what works for your character, then that's the way to go. Strategist, being an all space secondary, you would take because you chose, let's say, command officer or intelligence officer that have a lot of ground and space and you wanted more space. Or you choose temporal operative and there was something in there that you wanted to take strategist to complement. The only way to figure out what works for your character is to try each one. So let's say you put a point in command officer and you don't like what it does, then you can put a point into intelligence officer and pick up one of the other ones for a secondary. For this character, I have the command officer and intelligence officer chosen because I'm running more of a torpedo boat, and that's what I'm concentrating on to increase the damage done by the torpedoes on the ship. So as mentioned towards the beginning of this video, there is no right or wrong way. Play to your heart's content, pick up as many specialization points as possible and try each one. And once you find the ones that work best for you, stick with them. And that concludes the specialization skills. If you like the video, hit like, share, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.